My life includes two parts. In the afternoon, it's what I call life. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, I make breakfast and lunch and dinner to my two kids. I take them to kindergarten. I go shopping. I go to prayers on the weekends. I pretty much live the same life that women like me live in cities, in towns, in places all over Israel. What's interesting is that my first part of the day is all dedicated to speaking about life. For the last 5 years, I've been meeting hundreds and thousands of people from all over the world who think that our lives here are fascinating and are worth a travel of 10, 12 hours by plane, spending an entire week doing a study tour and meeting people all over. Sometimes when I go around a settlement, a supermarket, I feel that it's a bit strange. I feel that I'm supposed to organize some kind of show to make the visit to the supermarket something interesting. And I tell them, listen, this is not a zoo. This is how people live. So we'll go in, we'll see a supermarket, we'll go out, and maybe this is what I'm looking so hard to show you, that life here is no less normal than anywhere else. I'm 30 years old. I'm a mother. I'm a settler. I'm a child. I have parents who decided 30 years ago to leave England and come and live in the land of Israel. And when they made that choice, they decided to look for a small village in the countryside, in the heart of Israel, in an area that's called Judea-Samaria, and more specifically in a community in the west of the Benjamin Hills. 20 years later, I made the same decision to return to my homeland, to my hometown, and to live there with my two children. In Judaism, names have a lot of symbolism. And when we had each of our two sons, we spent 8 days from being released from hospital until their circumcision, trying to decide what would be the name that will accompany them for the rest of their lives. And we chose two names. One is Naveh, which means oasis, and the other one means Neta, which means a plant. What's special, I think, for us here is that even in the simple act of choosing a name for your child, we feel the urge to show the significance of this area to us, to show the connection between us and the ground and the land, the feeling that we are planted in this place and we have no intention in leaving. About 8 months ago, I was put in a very, very interesting situation. This was a regular morning, I went to meet a group of tourists to fill in the part of their schedule of meeting a settler. And I had an hour of speaking to a really, really nice group of 12 grown-ups in different ages and telling them about life of women in the region of Benjamin. By the end of the hour, we felt like we were really good friends, and they didn't want me to leave. They insisted of asking more and more questions. And then their guide came up to me and said, listen, I have a suggestion to you. It seems like you and the participants are good friends, and we have a long day ahead of us. And the next place in our schedule is actually Ramallah, which is the big Palestinian city, which is in the center of the Benjamin region. It's north to Jerusalem. We'll be spending a few hours there meeting some speakers. And this is an opportunity for you if you want to join us. It's so peculiar. It's my exact region. It's the same place where I drive through every day. I see Ramallah from the windows of my office in Psagot. I used to travel through the city when I was a very young child, when it was still allowed. I see Ramallah from its other side, driving through the road 443 when I'm traveling from my house to Jerusalem. But actually traveling into the city as a settler, with my head covering, as an Israeli, I was scared, I was terrified, but I decided that this is an opportunity that I don't know if I'll ever have again in this current situation. And if I spend my mornings and afternoons telling people about my life here, about us coexisting with the Palestinians and how I expect them to feel this and that way towards me and understand what my life here is all about, I owe it to myself to go there, to be brave enough and hear from them and see from them. This is my chance to be an observer. So I took off my head covering and I called my husband to get his blessing for what I was going to do. And I joined the bus. I sat there in the middle. I decided that I'm going to be a regular tourist together with them. Unless if I'm asked, I will not introduce myself as an Israeli. We traveled through main roads, sideways, huge buildings, the center of the city. We met a speaker from the local government of the city. I went for a small walking tour in a different, like a sightseeing type of experience. But I think what shocked me was actually driving out of the city and reconnecting to the road I use every day when I travel from my house to work. It felt normal. I was looking around to the beautiful hills, green hills. It feels biblical. Everybody that comes and visits is so inspired and amazed by the beautiful surroundings and the nature which we live in. It felt normal. It felt like that is what I'm trying to explain to people when I manage to detach from the abnormal parts of life in the area. When I chose to return to Neve Tzuf and to raise a family, to raise my two sons, it's because I knew that the best life I could give them was only here, in a place where they can run around in the morning, in the evening, not being scared, like I felt for 2 years living in the city, feeling that I need to be escorted when I'm coming back and it's 11 in the evening. It's a place where archaeology and history has significance, because we have our small historical site, a Jewish village from the 4th century. And when we have people who come to visit us, we take them around our community and we show them how our ancestors used to live here. And we show them the ritual bath that was caved so many years ago. And we show them how people used to make their own olive oil. And look, today, 2,000 years later, we have the same thing. In my new house, which I just purchased, we have an olive tree that was that's been around for tens of years. We have a vineyard, we have grapes, we have all 7 species that are so special in Judaism to the land of Israel. This is the best place, and this is why I am here. But together with living such a normal life, being a mother means that my son asks me the most simple questions about such a complicated reality when we have to pass a checkpoint driving to the nearby city. When sometimes driving on the roads and we pass through some kind of a demonstration, or if we see lots of soldiers, which is unusual for a child who's 3 years old. Another thing that surprises people that I meet is that they see a woman that is a representative, that is a spokesperson. For me, it's the most obvious thing. In the society where I live, women feel empowered. Women can serve in different positions. My friends are lawyers and managers and doctors and even fire women, you could say. They have small businesses. They work in tourism. They are artists. The women of Benjamin are superwomen because they juggle between home and work. We receive phone calls every day that include mutual help to women in my community, whether if it's help to a woman that just gave birth, or a family that one of their members are sick, or if it's a request to stand up and speak to a group coming to the community on different occasions. We are not afraid to speak up and say our opinion. I feel that from the point of being mothers, that's why we can handle a conversation, and a tough one, about life over here in this region. In my community now, my family, we are 3 generations who are living in the same small place. My parents, who are today grandparents, myself and my husband, and my 2 children. We have families in the community that are already raising the 4th and 5th generation. And yet we still are considered to be unusual people, an unusual situation. And people are always surprised, how can you make that choice to live here? Aren't you scared? Aren't you afraid? Don't you regret it? Aren't you scared to use the roads? And when I manage to walk them through my day, to show them how my morning starts, how it develops, that I end the day like every other normal woman in any other area of the world, I have found that in some situations people tell me, I wish I could come and live here as well. And I always say, the door is open. There's beautiful cities, there's towns, there's small communities. If you don't want to come and live here, that's okay. But my message to you at the end of the day is to go and tell people that being in Judea and in Samaria is the same like living in the Galilee, in the south of Israel, in the center. You'll meet here wonderful people, interesting people who can who would be very, very happy to open the door to welcome you and to show you that life here is as normal and wonderful as we can reach, even though we do have our challenges and we bravely manage to deal with all of them. Thank you for listening.